Hello everyone, today we will take a look at another Sony a7 series camera, a7R first generation. This one is slightly more expensive and little downgraded in exchange for higher resolution, so I expect top-notch image quality. Let's start by mentioning key specs. It has 36 megapixel full-frame CMOS sensor, 25-point contrast detection autofocus system, records 1080p videos up to 60 frames per second. I have to remind you that quite a lot of things I mention in this review are already covered in my Sony a7 review, because obviously both share quite a few things with each other. With a Sony a7R, body is entirely made of magnesium alloy in opposite to a7, which contains some amount of plastic. Having said that, I haven't noticed any difference. I have once again no complaints in terms of build quality. It really gives impression of professional grade quality, additionally emphasized by the built-in weather sealing. Ergonomics are without complaints. Aside from the two things, unusual shutter button placement and too small grip. It's still comfortable to use though, thanks to its weight, especially after using bulky 1 kg full-frame DSLRs. Half a kilogram of a weight from a camera this type is always welcome from my point of view. 3-inch LCD panel on the back lacks full articulation. I don't mind that much, since video recording capabilities are sadly not the best. In short, screen quality is below my expectations. It unfortunately has too much reflections, poor contrast and dull colors. By the way, if you look at this footage, keep in mind my testing unit has anti-reflective screen protector installed. I'm sure its 2.4 million OLED viewfinder has made some bigger excitement back in 2013, but nowadays things changed. From today's perspective, it definitely lacks vision, sharpness and contrast, but it's fair to say that it's still pretty decent viewfinder overall. Anyway, like always, I will say that optical viewfinders have some edge. With a DSLR, it can always be turned on and ready for an instant shooting. With a mirrorless, you are doomed to the screens, which drain battery quickly and rely on the software speed, both of which are not particularly strong point of the a7R. Turning camera on, switching to viewfinder, focusing and taking picture, it all takes some time for it to process. User interface and menu is like in most Sony cameras, relatively intuitive to use. Autofocus is one of the biggest downgrades from a standard Sony a7. It's 25-point only contrast detection system. I'm really surprised and disappointed that Sony made it that way back then. I haven't had opportunity to compare them side by side, but I definitely felt that a7R in comparison with a7 was much slower and not as reliable as I would expect from camera in this class. Certainly, it's not suitable for fast action sports shooting. It's a shame, because Nikon D810 has same high resolution sensor and doesn't suffer from compromises like that. But hey, let's remember a7R is from 2013, back when mirrorless cameras were still a new thing. In terms of image quality, 36 megapixel sensor delivers indeed very good results. Dynamic range is on the great level. However, I'm not seeing as much color richness as with Nikon D810, I think, but side-by-side comparison would be necessary to precisely determine that really. Anyway, it's still a very good performer. Color accuracy is on point, landscapes look very good, and you can recover a lot of information in post-processing. Sony a7R has tendency to sometimes overexpose. It's not that big of a deal though, since of course you can correct it in a post-process pretty quickly. And all full-frame cameras that I've used were behaving a little funky from time to time in exposure control department, so I'm thinking it's maybe just a matter of limitation in processing a lot of data from such a big sensor. Unfortunately, I have to advise you that this camera exhibits significant shutter shock. It's a well-known issue, you will find many articles and posts about it on the web. I don't know exactly how much it contributed, but indeed, a lot of my photos end up becoming blurry. With photos that came out good, like in the A7. In the crop you will find solid amount of depth and texture of photographed objects. But in my opinion, Nikon D810 also performs slightly better with more quality. It may be due to that shutter shake issue though. Low light performance is on the excellent level. I am not seeing any downgrade after using standard A7. Hardly any noise up to ISO 800 and below it still delivers fantastic results. Even at ISO 3200, photos are still very usable. Although, like always, I'm not fan of Sony's noise reduction algorithm in JPEGs. It produces too many artifacts, losing a lot of details. Video quality aspect is just outdated. Amount of detail and sharpness is below today's standards, so I can't recommend this particular camera for video recording. That said, with a full frame you will get a nice bokeh and low light performance, so it might be worth something as an extra feature, for example. In conclusion, Sony a7R offers professional grade image quality. Sadly, by 2019 standards, autofocus, operating speed and video quality are far from the best, and keeping in mind price difference between normal A7 and A7R, I wouldn't consider the other one. There is just too much sacrifice. Apart from resolution difference, Sony a7 is much cheaper, has better autofocus and no shutter shock issue. But don't get me wrong, if you want cheapest, highest resolution Sony mirrorless camera, a7R might be perfect for you. Let me know what do you think about the Sony a7R. Leave a comment, subscribe and share this video to help me to continue my work on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching and see you!